Advised, the RPGeek Podcast is made by three friends with varying opinions, political, and religious beliefs. Nothing these three say should be taken as an attack on anyone or anything in particular. In addition, we like to say naughty words and make jokes that may come off as offensive to some people. Please enjoy.
Welcome to the RPGeek Podcast. I am joined by my buddy Dave, and here we are going to talk about the upcoming games of May of this year. We just got over doing the recap of April on our last episode, so I think going into May and looking at what's coming out for May, we were talking about it being a big gaming year, hopefully, and so I think we're really enticed by some of the games that we're seeing on here, and so we're going to talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, April is out, May is super in. So, quick question for you guys in the comments. Have you seen the Thunderbolts yet? Is it good? Probably not. I don't know, man. I've lost faith in Marvel. But let's talk about some of the games that are coming out in May, because at the end of it, we are a gaming entertainment podcast. and thank you.
Yeah,
ads.
I'm sorry. My device keeps making noises.
Thank you, Ed. I turned my volume off.
Yeah, I
just
have
on
to.
the safe side.
So I figure we'll talk about that one last because we'll go into it for a while.
Probably, yeah. So we got a few big ones. So there's a few indie titles that are coming out in May, but there's also some interesting ones. Specifically for the PS5. And by the time this episode is out, this one might already be out, but Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition is coming to the PS5. I always like the Age of Empires series. I suck at them, but I enjoy them.
I saw a couple games coming to the PS store. I think it was Balatro.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the Warhammer 40Ks.
Okay.
I forget which one, but that they were actually coming over. Actually, speaking of which, I know we're talking about May, but it just officially got released that all the Forzas that were Xbox exclusive now have gone over to PlayStation. Which is
dumb.
Interesting. It's an interesting move, but
interesting's a good word for it. I think it's dumb.
Yeah.
I think you had one thing that was keeping people on your console, and now you've gone multi-platform with that one thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if the problem is getting first-party development to happen, but PlayStation and Xbox have dropped the ball with this in the last 2 generations.
Oh, 100%.
As much as I love having a PS5, there's not a single game on my PS5 that I can't also get on PC.
Gotcha.
Or will be able to get on PC. Stellar Blade coming June. But one of the things that is announced in May, gaming-wise, is Among Us 3D. So
interesting.
Yes. Did you ever play Among Us?
I played Among Us. I've seen games that mimic the 3D version of Among Us. They were obviously like mod fanfare made.
Well, they also had a VR one.
I have seen some on that one, and it's really interesting.
I enjoyed Among Us. I thought it was fun for what it was. I think it's a good party game, but it's I don't know, man. I'd rather play like Jackbox or something like that.
Yeah,
you know.
I am quite the Jackbox fan. A small one that I will mention. Apparently, that's coming to PC. I guess there's a new TMNT game.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, it's Tactical Takedown. I'm not really sure if it's like. I think it might be a side scroller.
Oh man, I don't know. With a name like Tactical Takedown, I almost want a tactics-based RPG.
Oh no, you know what? It's actually it's a turn-based beat 'em up.
A turn-based
beat 'em up. Yeah. So I don't know how it's gonna go, but it's interesting because if you have like your 4 characters and it's turn-based, who knows? Might be okay.
I'd be okay. Look, a turn-based game. I'm always down for turn-based games, and if it's like a turn-based like tactical game, like Tactics Ogre or Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem, like I'm down for it. But when you throw beat 'em up in there,
so I will read this little description for TMNT.
That's off a Game Rant?
This is actually off of just a simple Google search.
Oh, okay.
So whatever it generated here is what I'm going to read.
Sounds good.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Rooftop Mayhem. I guess there's two. A motion-based game exclusively on the next Playground console. Tactical Takedown is a turn-based beat-em-up coming to PC via Steam on May 22nd. And Rooftop Mayhem is a side-scrolling action set in Mutant Mayhem universe.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, one of them is a turn-based combat with a story-driven campaign, and the other one is a motion-based gameplay side-scroller with co-op mode.
I'd probably more interested in the turn-based one because I did not care for Mutant Mayhem.
Okay.
It's like the Michael Bay one. I didn't like it.
Fair enough.
I'm much more of the classic Turtles and TMNT.
Gotcha. The fact that they're releasing two pretty much in the same year
The
is
resurgence
interesting.
the resurgence of the Turtles is something like, whether I like it or not, the new direction with it. I will say it is exciting that from my childhood, TMNT is still very prominent.
Well, I remember watching, I think I saw an advertisement. I guess it's coming to Paramount. There's a new animated series for TMNT coming out. It's like Tales of the TMNT or something.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I kind of hope that they go back and do the original art style from the old 80s and 90s cartoon. I think that was the best one. And just kind of having a more serious, like less Saturday morning weekly cartoon kind of deal.
Yep.
I think that would be good.
Agreed.
One that I want to talk about quickly is Spirit of the North 2. Are you familiar with Spirit of the North?
No, I am not.
It's a game where you play as like a fox, and it's very relaxing, very just super mellow. It's just a trek through nature, and you're just trying to find your way home, and you're uncovering a story. It's pretty neat.
Okay.
Yeah,
right. That sounds pretty fun.
I love relaxing games.
Well, if you love relaxing games, there is a game coming out in early May to PC that I've seen on Steam before being advertised, called Pixelshire.
Okay.
It looks like Stardew Valley. Nice. It's a very Stardew Valley, but the artwork is, instead of being like very almost like saturated colors, it's a lot more pastel-y colors in it. But it is very like, you have a farm, you have a town, you have a village, you do all this. But Pixelshire, yet again, that top view side kind of scroll game, but it looks very relaxing, looks really fun. It's almost like Animal Crossing meets Stardew Valley.
Interesting.
Yeah, it actually looks really interesting. I've seen that on Steam before as a to be announced, but I guess it is coming out in like May 2nd or May 12th, one of those.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Another one that I'm kind of excited for, and it's a remake or remaster, whatever. Onimusha 2 is coming out.
Okay.
And that one originally was on PlayStation 2. And those games were a lot of fun. It was the original 3 were essentially Resident Evil, but samurais.
Okay.
Like, they played the same way. They had the stopped camera, the tank controls, things like that. And it wasn't until one of the later Onimushas that it kind of became like a hack and slash, almost Devil May Cry kind of fighter.
Yep.
That one is coming out towards the end of May.
Gotcha. I see one coming out in May that just got me excited. I haven't heard before I just read it.
Yep.
But the fact that you and I have played a really good indie game, speaking of really good releases in like April in that area, Schedule 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played the crap out of that one.
That one, we still playing the crap out of that one. We got to get back to it. Like, we got to cook.
Yeah. So I play games like, Crime Scene Simulator, and then we have Schedule 1, and I've played Drug Dealer Simulator and all these. There's a new game coming out called Cash Cleaner Simulator, where you are a professional money launderer. And this has me very excited by the looks of it, that you are just dealing with these people's money and cleaning cash and putting them on pallets and shipping them to people.
That is hilarious.
And you're finding new ways and new perks about how to clean dirty money.
Dude, it's crazy that video games are going to be the thing that
create professional criminals.
That's absolutely insane.
I know how to cook the drugs, clean my cash, and clean up a crime scene.
Yep. We're getting all the details now. One of the big ones that we should talk about, I think, is it's not a full. Is it a game? Is it a full game? I'm not sure. Elden Ring Night Rain.
Yeah. That's big. That's big for Elden Ring.
I loved Elden Ring. I think I've bought it on just about everything at this point. It's such a fun game. I I don't know. Did you get a chance to play that one?
I got a chance to play some of it. I got through, I don't even know if it was the first chapter or not, because I did not spoil it for myself.
Okay.
I know I got past like the first, I think, mini boss that you have to face, and then there was the first boss. I got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I love it, there's just, I kind of have the attention span of a mosquito when it comes to certain games.
Yeah, and there's only so many times you can get your ass kicked before you're like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, and depending on my mind state that day, I'm just like,
yeah,
nah.
of course. Sometimes you need to take a break.
Yeah, some days I just want to be humbled.
Yeah.
And then there's some days that the humbling has occurred too much, and I'm like, please stop beating me. I'm just a child.
Yeah, and then you switch over to Skyrim and you're a god in minutes. So Elden Ring Night Rain is a co-op action game. So it's Elden Ring, but multiplayer. I mean, Elden Ring was already multiplayer, but I guess this one's built around the multiplayer.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I mean, that's the one thing that I feel like has been missing from these Souls type games is like, yeah, sure, you can summon your friends and play together and things like that. But I feel like having a game solely around playing with other people and like maybe having a team of, 2 to 4 people or however many you're allowed to, I don't know, that adds a whole new layer of depth.
It does.
It almost, at this point,
co-op makes everything better.
well, it does, but at this point, instead of just figuring out how a boss works in the way that you do in those Souls type games, now, on top of standard boss mechanics, you could put in like raid mechanics. And things like that, where it's like, okay, well, you have to fight this boss who has multiple phases, but phase 2, you're now at a DPS check. So not only are you and your team dodging and things like that, but you have to be consistently pulling damage on this guy.
Yeah.
It adds a whole new layer of stress that I'm very excited for.
And it also allows for and it's already kind of been a thing for the co-op in Elden Ring, but with the fact that like you can get like essentially a team of different character classes that are more powerful towards like certain bosses than others, and like call them in when you need them, essentially. Yeah,
I'm excited for that. Another one that's coming out actually at the end of May, much like Elden Ring, it's a game that I have the first 2 on my wish list on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Fuga Melodies of Steel.
Okay.
And the general premise of it is you're all anthropomorphic animal people.
Okay.
But you are in these giant mecha battles. So like
that's interesting.
So like Gundam or Gurren Lagann or something like that. I was going to say
like Armored Core.
Or Armored Core, but you're all like animal people. Like you look like kobolds and things like that. And it's like the series, from what I've seen, is heavily like very story rich, heavily dramatic and things like that. And it seems very deep, and they've had 2 so far, which are both very highly rated. So there's a 3rd one coming out, which just means that I really have to get into these games because it's a turn-based tactics game. I'm very excited to see where this goes and how deep the story actually is.
Okay. I'm excited for a game I've actually seen before. I'm not sure if it's going to come to PC or not, but it's called Roadcraft.
Yes.
It's another simulator game, but it kind of adds like the construction simulator to SnowRunner, and it's fantastic. I love SnowRunner because it's just how hilarious it gets, especially with friends. We know that experience all too well.
Yeah, Spider-Manning my way through trees just so that I can get out of the mud was fantastic. And then only having to turn around because there was no tree that I could reach to pull me out even further.
Or trying to put you on the back of my trailer
and
drive on the back of my trailer
off.
And you flying off.
Yeah. If you want to stop breathing temporarily from laughter, that is a great game.
Because
to do it.
That game as a base game, like SnowRunner, MudRunner, is a very like fetch quest game.
Yeah.
But if you do it with somebody else, it turns into the funniest goddamn thing.
Because you think of the dumbest ways to do things.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think that more brain power would be like, yes, let's figure this out, we're good. But no, more brain power equates to
less productivity,
more goofing around,
Yeah.
and just kind of figuring like, yeah, you know what? There's that thing over there. Don't worry, I got it. And you're in like you just make it the most unnecessarily complicated thing when there's clearly an easier way. But now, instead of one of you just going and doing it the easier way, you're both focused on making it. They're like, I can do this.
We're invested at this point.
Yeah.
And then there's been a couple times where it's just like, okay, the easy route is to take the longer route.
Yeah.
The harder route is to take the shortcut.
Yeah.
And I'll look at you and be like, I'm going to go this way. You're like, I'm just going to send it. And then you're like, Ryan,
Yeah.
I need some help.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you create more problems trying to pull a car out of the mud or the water or whatever, and you're just going and you're just like, you know what? No, man, I got this.
I'm getting through this.
Yeah, I value my skill as and I think the part of these games that's like the hardest is because you can't get out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that.
I think if I was able to get out of the vehicle, there would be a way for me to figure things out.
Yeah.
Using my character.
What I do love about the game and how comedically funny it can be and how kind of, the boringness of the fetch quest is the mind puzzle of like environments and stuff like that. Like that game is obviously a storytell through environment.
Exactly.
And so, but like having to traverse different environments with different vehicles and different equipment just makes it all that more funny because when you get really good at it, you start like lacklustering your equipment.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? I'm going to make it harder on myself because I have the brain power for this. And it ends up just being like, I made a mistake.
Oh yeah. I am stuck.
So now adding construction to this where it's like, oh, I can build this building, but now I have to go get these pipes on the other side of town. Hey, buddy, you want to come with me? And we'd probably figure out a way to balance like pipes on our hoods and drive in unison.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to be hilarious.
Oh yeah. It's something very exciting. There's something great about being able to play simulators. There's something better about being able to play simulators with your friends.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why there's a lot of simulators out there, not to get too far off topic, but there's a lot of simulators out there that are really good, I really enjoy, but they need to make them co-op.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, look, I love Power Wash Simulator, but once I was able to do that with somebody else, it just was the greatest.
Because like once I got the insight that like TCG Simulator is gonna probably put a co-op in it.
Yeah.
Like I got so excited when House Flipper put the co-op mode
Yeah.
in there. I was like, yeah, they got co-op now. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Which, I still have to buy House Flipper too.
oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, I've heard it's an improvement on the first in every way.
Oh yeah.
Another game, which is a bunch of games that is coming out in May, Capcom Fighting Collection 2.
I saw that.
So,
I thought they would have been on like the 16th iteration by now, to be honest. But,
well, to be fair, they are spacing it out pretty well.
Yeah.
And Capcom's been on fire for a while.
Mhm.
They've come out with a lot of really good collections, and they're all pretty decently priced. Hopefully this one remains that way, especially because this one comes with Power Stone 1 and 2.
oh, okay.
Have you ever played Power Stone?
I have played the first one.
So Power Stone, it was an arcade game.
Yeah.
But it was also on the Dreamcast, and it is one of the most fun fighting games out there. And Power Stone 2 is, it improves on the first one in every way. So being able to play that on modern hardware, because it's coming out for the previous generation. So PS4, Xbox One,
cool.
and OG Switch will be able to play it.
If I could put Capcom as a company into a person, it's like if you were playing one of those like fast shooter games like Warzone,
Yeah.
and everyone's screaming and yelling at each other, and then you got that one guy that was like, you got me, like, and everyone's just like, oh, he's just a humble, simple man, like, oh, now I feel guilty about killing him. And so like Capcom has just been Capcom's been that company that they're not making any new crazy releases, they're not doing anything like over the moon, but they're just that casual, like, hey, we're gonna give you what you want. have fun, have a good time.
Okay.
Like, come back when the streetlights come back on, you know.
Very interesting analogy.
They're just very simple, down-to-earth kind of company, and I like it.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing, like, over the moon, like, into a comparison, like this Oblivion remaster, right?
Sure.
Like, over the moon. But they're releasing a lot of content that a lot of retro gamers enjoy, and then they're also releasing like a lot of content that it's just like you can get behind even as a modern player. But they're not shooting to the stars kind of thing. They're just very simple, very casual, very like, hey, we're just gonna do this.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Capcom, you know, the biggest hits that they've had recently within the last, we'll say 5, 6 years. It could be longer. My timeline could be off. But I mean, you have Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah.
Huge.
It is huge.
You know, you had Mega Man 11.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter 6, people really liked.
Yeah.
And their collection, and they've been coming out with these collections of everything. So it's like, yeah, Capcom's been knocking it out of the park consistently.
Yeah.
So it's like there's only a few things that Capcom fans still want. Number one, we want more Mega Man. Just stop canceling Mega Man games, for the love of God, dude. You have a perfect character design for several different generations of that character type. Just keep going with it. Just keep making more. And then, you know, we want more Devil May Cry, obviously. And I called it on the Netflix show. I'm gonna say it right here. Previous episode, I said that the Netflix show is probably gonna be divisive and crappy, and sure enough, I was right. You know, a lot of people are like, who weren't fans of the game were okay with it, and even some fans of the game who could differentiate, like, this is a different universe, they were okay with it. But the vast majority of people were like, really? You're going to have American Idiot playing when the USA invades hell? Like, that's really stupid. So like I called it. I'm gonna take my win there. Whether people want to give me that win or not, I don't care. I was right.
I mean, and that brings me back to like post 20 or pre 2020 when I saw like the first trailer for Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew it was gonna be crap. Yeah. Like I knew it was gonna be bad. And then to your point, there's a lot of people. And there was no middle ground, unlike your Devil May Cry. There was either the people that weren't a fan of the game series or didn't play it, that were just like, all right, here's the show, or there was the gamers. There was no, like, we can differentiate between two, because they killed the war so damn bad in that one.
Yeah, it was people who had no idea what was going on. They were okay with it because they're like, oh, this is an interesting space drama. And then you had the people who played even just one of the games, even one of the later games, was like, this is fucking dumb.
So before we get to our big topic of today,
yes,
I keep going back to April, but there was another April game that was really big, and I keep thinking about how big April has been.
Yeah,
and Jagex dropping RuneScape.
You know, we didn't talk about that in the April episode.
Crafting survival in April, which is obviously in early development. You can tell by some lack of content in that game, and you can see it because they're like, hey, it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Incredible still.
Yeah, it started off fantastic.
Like, I love how they, as annoying as it gets, I do like how they used the Valheim system for the structural integrity of homes.
Honestly, I like that in a crafting game.
Until you get to the point where it's just like the game says that something is so unstable to the point where it's making me unstable in the game.
Yes, I think you watching me build a house in that, I kind of zoned out to the point where I became a parody of myself.
You became the house.
Because I was sitting there, and you could attest to this. Yeah. I was pleading with the game.
Yes.
I was.
What do you mean?
So all I was trying to do was build a simple 2-story house. And
I will say your house is quite nice looking. It's fancy looking.
I tried.
Yeah.
I put a lot of effort into it, but I wanted to build a simple 2-story house. Very easy, right? The 2 stories were fine. The problem lied
the roof
with putting the goddamn roof on.
The roof in that game, if anybody ends up playing this, the roof is the hardest part of that game. Like, we've beaten bosses We've played a lot of hours in the game. The roof is the boss. It's the final boss of the game.
Yeah, building something so that it's structurally sound is the boss. Yeah. That is the hardest part of that game. And
the fact that you're constantly getting raided, and the dragon is just dropping fucking poison all over the land.
Yeah, he's just shitting acid at you. It is awful. And you're just sitting there, and like there was a certain point where both of us were we were building our second home.
Yeah.
Because our first home was just a
small
simple
cabins.
It was like the Minecraft dirt house.
Yeah.
Very simple, whatever, we're just trying to move on. And then we decide, well, you know what? Let's build another house. So we start chopping down trees, we start chopping up logs, and we start doing this. And everything's going fine until the house starts becoming more complicated. And at that point, this is probably the 30th time that we've gone logging to chop down trees. And we've had about 60 raids in an hour.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there just getting more and more angry because the game is fighting us on all accounts. And like, we're having a great time with the game, obviously.
Oh, and before you continue, just so everyone knows, these raids are based on how many days go by, but it's also RNG based. So you have these event ticks that happen. And so to get a lot of raids, your RNG has to be really bad. And it was that day.
Oh, it was awful. It was, I've played it a little bit since, and I have not had a day that bad. Yeah. It was bad. It was just like the world was just like, oh, you're building a house? Let's kick you while you're down.
Yeah.
Don't you want to put that roof on, idiot? And it's a lot of fun.
It is.
But I'm so glad that they're taking player feedback.
Yeah, I am glad that they're taking player feedback, which to the point where that last update that they just recently had spaced out the event ticks.
Yes.
So that you're not constantly just getting raided after raided after raided after
Now,
raided.
if they could just fix my roof.
Yeah.
So, but that game is officially RuneScape Dragon Wilds. It sort of came out in early access last month, and I highly recommend it. I think it's a lot of fun. Get it before it becomes full price.
So, yeah, to say, not for nothing, but April has been was the best gaming month we've had so far, but it probably the best like selection of games we've gotten in within the last 2 years.
Yeah, and one of the biggest for that was Bethesda. We talked about them at length. They kind of took over our April roundup with that, and they're going to take over this one because they have another game coming out in the middle of May,
which is fantastic.
I'm very excited.
I am
this.
so excited for this game.
Yeah,
and anybody that has played it since the 2016 or the pandemic era will know that Doom and Bethesda just make a lovely mix.
Yes. So April 15th, Doom: The Dark Ages will grace
May 15th.
That's why I said April, didn't I?
Yeah.
Dude, April was such a crazy month, man.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if we missed something.
I wouldn't be here right now if it had come out in April.
Honestly, same. I would be here because we're recording at my house, but
I would not. You wouldn't have heard from me. My boss would be like, "Where are you?"
Yeah,
I'm in the Dark Ages.
Yeah. He probably would have been there with you. Yeah, Doom: The Dark Ages coming out May 15th. That nice halfway point, and I am very excited for that game.
I'm supposed to go on vacation like a week or two after that. I'm just going to be like, Doom.
Yeah, I mean, good luck.
The only thing that I think I'm going to have a disappointment on with the Dark Ages is no Mick Gordon.
True. Yeah, so the whole Mick Gordon situation was really weird.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a whole lot of bull.
It turned out to be a whole lot of crap.
Which is funny because the Elder Scrolls had the same issue with Jeremy Sewell.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be all of the allegations against him were bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it who's throwing these allegations, and are we vetting the allegations, or are we just letting them fly at this point? Because you're losing multiple great composers.
And not to bring up a past thing, but when that when there was a specific movement that happened like 5-6 years ago, it destroyed a lot of people that ended up being a lot of BS. So
Yeah.
it's a shame.
Yeah, it really is.
So, for Mick Gordon, like, I hope they keep the spirit of Mick Gordon within the music.
Yeah.
Really, truthfully, because the 2016 and the Doom Eternal had one of the best soundtracks of any video game I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Personally.
I mean, like, as long as they sign his name correctly on the check, that's all that
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
But I want the spirit of that music to be in there, because I don't need some, like, Halo 3 ODST kind of music in Doom.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like Doom needs to be like upbeat, like heavy music. Fast-paced. Because that's what the game is.
Yeah.
The somber stuff worked in like something like Doom 3, where it kind of fell more into the horror aspect.
Yeah.
But Doom's not that. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until long after Doom 3 came out that people liked Doom 3. Because when Doom 3 came out, a lot of younger listeners might not know, people hated Doom 3.
Yeah.
It was considered the worst one. It was considered a failure at one point.
Yeah.
And now people have gone back and realized, no, wait, this is actually a good game. It was just so vastly different. I mean, Doom 3 VR is the best way to play that game.
I don't think I've ever seen the VR rendition of it.
It's so good. I don't like Doom VFR. Mm-hmm. That gives me motion sickness.
Fair enough.
Which is the only game to do it.
Yeah.
Because the way that you move about in that game.
Yeah. It's a lot of high-paced stuff.
Well, it's mostly because the movement is teleporting.
Yep.
So you like point at a thing.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you go
I could
there.
see how that would make you sick.
And like, with high octane, fast paced action, like at a certain point, I'm like, okay, I need to put this down. And games don't make me sick. I don't get motion sickness.
And the one thing that I hope they change in Dark Ages coming out, the one thing that I can hope for, is that in Doom Eternal they did not have a co-op campaign.
Yeah.
I hope they have a co-op campaign in Dark Ages.
Yeah, obviously not the main campaign, but have a co-op option. Kind of deal. I agree. I think, look, Dark Ages, for how close it is to coming out, we really don't know too much about it other than there's
the shield.
You could be Captain America. You have a gun that uses skulls as ammo, and there's cyber dragons.
And the graphical design of it, the lighting is freaking awesome.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I love the lighting setup, because it's almost like horror lighting.
Yeah.
Mixed with that classic Doom, just kind of everything's reddish.
But
it's more brown everywhere.
You know what it reminded me of almost, but not to the same degree, but pretty damn close, was you remember 300's lighting?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that.
Yeah,
with
almost
a very sepia almost.
Yeah, almost.
Very, very dark.
But I love it because you almost have that wildfire smoky kind of lighting.
Yeah.
And it looks gorgeous. Even the song in the trailer kind of gave me hope that it's going to be a good soundtrack.
Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to enjoy the soundtrack. I have no doubt in my mind that the gameplay is going to be very, very good.
Now, speaking Bethesda being hopefully optimistic, I feel like their 2 Doom games that they launched have been spectacular.
Yes.
There's people that love the 16 over Eternal and vice versa.
Yep.
But I'm hoping they just keep on this same train of just making this IP massive.
I hope that it doesn't go the way of Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Where Wolfenstein started off really good. They had 2.5 very good games, and then we got Youngblood.
Let's just hope this doesn't put Bethesda back in the Dark Ages. Haha, pun.
Oh. I think it's the first time that somebody other than me is going to get the cricket edit. Yeah, so Doom the Dark Ages, I'm very excited for this game.
Same.
I don't know, man. I wasn't expecting it when they announced it, and the fact that it's coming out in, less than a month is incredible.
Well, I have a couple of friends that are huge into 40K. One of my very dear friends included the one I was speaking about before.
Yeah.
And, I told him, I was like, look, this game runs like what you would think a war does in 40K. And he's also a metalhead, so I'm like, just try it.
Yeah.
I lost contact with him for 3 months because every day this man was just absorbed into slaying the world. And I was just like, you know what? This is like essentially when the Flood got introduced into Halo's world, when you first introduced yourself to the Flood, you just wanted to be the Doomslayer with the Flood. And so they literally took the concept of the Flood and just made like Master Chief this psychotic badass and just made that a game. And like
it
I
really
know that
feels
Doom
that way.
came out way before.
Yeah.
But either way, it just very much felt like it.
And look, with the Dark Ages, it's a prequel continuation of the Doom game that we've come to know and love.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I believe in a chronological standpoint, Doom 64 was technically the first one.
Yeah.
I think this is happening before Doom 64.
Okay.
Or it's happening immediately after Doom 64.
It would make sense if it were to happen right after.
Because so it was Doom 64, Doom 2016, Doom Eternal. Dark Ages is happening before 2016 at least.
Yes.
I don't know if it's before 64. I think it's in between those
when
two.
I first heard the Dark Ages, I just was hoping, like before I even saw the trailer, that he was back in like the Renaissance.
Oh, just like medieval kind of.
Yeah, that he was just back there just going to towns on kings and shit, or like he was fighting the mutants that came out of the bubonic plague.
I mean, look, Doom, a game like Doom could work medieval. You have Hexen and Heretic. Those were medieval Doom.
Yeah.
The medieval fantasy Doom. And I would love to see those revisited. Give the old Doom clones the Doom 2016
Yeah, just
treatment.
have Doomslayer fighting the bubonic plague. That would be incredible.
He's just fighting. Isn't that just Vermintide?
Yes, essentially.
Yeah. So it's just like, give Hexen another run. I think we could try Duke Nukem again. I'm not sure.
Oh man, that would be funny though if we could get a Doom in like medieval times where he just, he can pretty much transport himself through space and time.
Yeah, but at what point is this just becomes Army of Darkness versus Evil Dead? Like, at a certain point you have to stop.
Yeah. No,
never.
We never stop.
Yeah, no, there's no such thing as too far. But yeah, I don't know, man. The problem is, so many big RPGs have come out recently.
I know.
And my backlog is so huge.
My bank account is hurting.
My bank account's starting to recover, but slowly. But like, man, Doom, I know it's not as long of a game, but there's going to be so much to do that it will absorb my time.
Not only that, but I find it funny with Doom that the replayability is there solely on your psychopathic tendencies to just want to kill things over and over. Like, that is the replayability.
It's stress relief. It's a stress, but it's like those little clowns where you squeeze them and their eyes pop out. Only this time, instead of clowns, it's crazy demons, and you're ripping them apart.
When you used to work far away, like the hour and a half round trip kind of drive, sometimes I would become really furious on my way home because morning traffic sucked.
Yeah.
And so I would just go home and play Eternal and just be like, this is what I would do in road rage, right? I'd put myself into this like, yep, this is what I would do if that guy actually stopped that car.
Look, I've brought this up multiple times to many people. The best description of road rage comes out of one of the Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies where they're looking at the car. It's like, and behind the headlights you have torpedoes, and his remark his remark goes something like, "Oh, that'll be perfect for the drive home." It's like, everyone who has ever been in some situation where there is something impeding your progress is just like, oh my god,
inconvenience.
If I just had torpedoes right now, I can make my way through this. And it's hilarious. It's an awful thought, but it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. It's how we cope.
Exactly. We need to figure out a way to survive as species from the mundane bullshit that just gets in our way.
The one thing that I do hope that they keep in the Dark Ages from Doom Eternal, though, is the bobblehead collectibles.
I hope that all of the collectibles come back except for the runes.
The runes are a pain in the ass.
I hate the rune challenges.
They were a pain in the ass.
I hate them so much. None of them were good.
No, they weren't. And then
and they just took you out of the gameplay.
I just love the little bobbleheads because you go back to your station, you see little bobbleheads, and I was like, bobblehead.
Yeah. I don't mind having challenges. Like the rune thing. being a separate thing from the main campaign.
Yeah.
But I don't want to access it while in the main campaign because it just takes you out of it.
Yeah.
100%.
It does. And then when you become so infuriated at a game that you're already like just raging at everything anyway, it's just like, I don't know how, like, my blood temperature must be higher now.